What's the darkest secret you've kept from your partner? Before we start, don't forget to subscribe, and I'd really appreciate it if you leave a like and comment something related to the topic. Let's begin. Story 1. She moved from her hometown to be with me. Her best friend from that hometown was undergoing cancer treatment. She would visit him periodically, and I was good friends with him too. She hadn't visited him in quite a while, maybe a year, and couldn't make it back for Christmas. She sent him a long letter and a Christmas card, but she messed up the address. He passed away suddenly, and the card was eventually returned to our home. I saw the returned letter in the mail and realized what had happened. I threw it away and told her that she could take some comfort in knowing he was aware she was thinking of him before he passed. I will never tell her the truth. Story 2. I don't like mini golf. We went mini golfing on our first official date. It was fun because he's fun. Now we go mini golfing at least once a year during our summer vacation. We bring the kids, and it's become a whole day. The kids love it. My husband talks about our first date, and the whole thing is just so damn cute. But I hate mini golf. I'll never tell him. Why would I? It wouldn't do any good. After 20 plus years, it would just be mean. So every year, I go and make the best of it. It's only fun because they're fun. Story 3. My partner knows parts of this, but not all the details. All he knows is that my therapist did something to me. When I had just turned 18, after a suicide attempt and a self-harm episode, I was hospitalized. They assigned me a therapist, a man old enough to be my father. At first, I thought he might actually help me, so I stayed in contact with him. He even did house visits. I was very vulnerable then, still suicidal, my family was falling apart, and I felt completely alone and unlovable. I didn't have many friends. He made me feel better when I opened up to him, and he even let me call him after hours if I needed to talk. That slowly turned into him taking me for drives, getting coffee together, and talking at my favorite coffee shop. Then it became walking nature trails during the summer. I didn't realize it at the time, but he would make little comments about how he was the only one who truly understood me, how much he cared about me, and so on. You can probably see where this was going. I've always been a people pleaser and terrified of confrontation. He started saying he wouldn't see me anymore unless I let him take some pictures of me, revealing, suggestive pictures. I let him because I was afraid of being abandoned and completely alone. Then he started touching me in his car, calling me names, saying awful things, and I just froze. I didn't know what to do anymore, so I let it continue for maybe a year before I finally said I couldn't do it anymore. My boyfriend knows a therapist did something bad to me, but he doesn't know the details, and he definitely doesn't know about the pictures. I've never told anyone about that part. It makes me feel sick. I'm 30 now, and sometimes I still think about it and hate myself. There are nights when I can still feel him touch me, see his face, or wake up terrified that somehow my family will find those pictures, even though it's been 12 years. Usually, I just push it away and try not to think about it. I don't really think anyone wants to hear this kind of thing anyway. It's a lot to take in, and it makes people uncomfortable. I'm sure I'm just typing this into the void, and it ended up longer than I meant it to, but thank you to anyone who read this far. Story 4. About 6 months after I gave birth to my daughter, I got pregnant again. My husband and I were living at his parents' house at the time, rent-free, yet we still barely made enough money to support one child. I was devastated when I found out, not just because of the financial burden, but because my mental health already made it hard to be a good mom to the child I had. I wanted an abortion, and my husband agreed it was the best option for us. He was supportive and tried to stay positive about it, right up until the moment we checked in at the clinic. That's when he broke down in the lobby. He still supported my choice, but it was clear he couldn't keep pretending he was okay with it anymore. Until that moment, I had no idea how deeply sad he was, and my heart broke because I should have noticed. It didn't change my decision, though. They make you get an ultrasound before the procedure, and I decided to spare him a little guilt if I could. He didn't come with me for the ultrasound, so when it was done, I went back to the lobby and took a gamble on a lie I hoped he'd believe. I told him the ultrasound tech couldn't find a heartbeat and that the fetus wasn't viable, but that they'd still perform the D&C instead of waiting for a miscarriage. He seemed so relieved, like the weight of the decision had been lifted off us, as if it wasn't really ours to make anymore. I genuinely think he believed it, but even if he didn't, he's never said anything or questioned it. That was 10 years ago, and I still feel awful for lying. But at least he doesn't have to carry the guilt or regret for a decision I know I still would have made regardless. Story 5. I just want my wife back. I want the wife who asked how my day was. I want the wife who reached for my hand on long car rides. I want the wife who would slowly search for my body in the dark. Depression is a thief. Yes, she's gotten help. She's medicated. It's been 10 years. I know she loves me, but I wish I could tell her that her depression has robbed us both. That I know it's not her fault. That I just wish she could see, even through the fog, that I'm still here. I still care. And I still yearn for the woman I fell in love with. For her to care for me the way I care for her. Story 6. That I had started planning an escape to break up with my ex-girlfriend of a year. I found out she was stalking a former ex she had psychologically and physically abused, all while painting him as the abuser when, in reality, it was her. After the PTSD settled in, a therapist confirmed that I had dated a vulnerable narcissist with sociopathic tendencies. After I blocked her everywhere for my own safety, she went on to harass and stalk my friends and family to find out where I was. It still affects me a year later. I've never met such an evil person in my entire life, and yet she still plays the victim. Story 7. When people are sick, my wife is a terrible caregiver, especially to me. She used to be downright unkind and would make snide remarks about me being lazy or just looking for attention. When she's sick, though, she'll get up and suddenly start doing extra chores or anything to stay busy, claiming that if she were to just let herself rest, nothing would get done. It's definitely some weird, childish drama thing I can't quite figure out. One day, I was particularly sick, and she started with her usual crap about me going to die, and that we should call a wambulance. Then she said something like, "You're not sick, you just don't feel well. Stop being a bitch and get up." I was absolutely furious. So I dragged myself into the bedroom and coughed and sneezed all over her pillows. Within 2 days, she was sick as hell, and I was already starting to feel better. She asked if I could get her some soup or a drink, and I told her she wasn't sick. She just didn't feel well, so she could get it herself. She went completely silent. I think that's when she finally realized she'd been awful. Since then, she's backed off the whole tough love caregiver act. She's still not great, but at least now you're not left alone to die of dysentery, Oregon Trail style. Story 8. I'm single, so it's not me who's keeping a secret. I am the secret. Here's the deal. When I was about 17, I had a friend, a girl my age, who had a boyfriend at the time. One day, she told me she thought my genes were superior and that she'd like me to be the father of her children. I thought she was joking, took it as a weird compliment, and just went along with it. Fast forward 3 years. We had grown apart a bit because I'd been in a relationship, but out of the blue, she brought it up again and asked me to keep my promise. I told her I wouldn't be part of her cheating on her partner, so we agreed that I would donate sperm instead. She had it frozen at a sperm bank. Not long after, we had a serious falling out and cut contact completely. She later married someone else. Honestly, a guy who's much more attractive than me. But to my surprise, one day she sent me the signal we had agreed on years earlier. Yep, she used my donation. About 9 months later, she gave birth to a baby girl, who is definitely mine. The child is around 2 years old now, and from what I can tell, they're a very happy family. I'm certain neither she nor her husband will ever know that their daughter is a cuckoo child. Story 9. I had a really close friend in primary school. Our mums got along really well, so we were always at each other's houses. We were little, but her dad was away a lot for work, constantly traveling. I barely ever saw him when we had playdates or sleepovers. This part's important. Sadly, he was diagnosed with terminal cancer, and everything happened very quickly, from the diagnosis to his passing. When they were in the hospital saying their goodbyes, another family walked in to do the same thing. His other family, from Australia. We're in the UK. That's how and when my friend, her brother, sister, and their mum found out. He died just a couple of days later. I didn't know about any of this at the time because I was too young to understand, but my mum told me years later, and I just couldn't believe it. How does someone keep that up? My friend was the oldest, around 7 to 10, and her siblings were only a few years younger. His other family had young kids too. I can't imagine how much they knew or understood back then. But seriously, how do you maintain a lie that massive? He would literally fly between the two families, playing the loving, devoted dad and husband. One family on one side of the world, the other on the opposite side. And he must have known that's how both families would eventually find out. It sounds completely made up, but I swear it's true. I just can't wrap my head around how someone could live like that for years. It's beyond a secret. It's an entire double life. Story 10. Not me, but a buddy of mine posted this story on Reddit, and I feel like it belongs here. Basically, this guy was a high-functioning alcoholic. He had a cushy work-from-home job and a great marriage, but he couldn't stop drinking. He even checked himself into rehab multiple times, but nothing ever stuck, no matter how much his wife begged him to quit. Eventually, he forgot their anniversary because he got blackout drunk, and that was the breaking point. His wife left him. That finally gave him the wake-up call he needed. So he went cold turkey and pushed through nearly a week of brutal detox. But things took a dark turn. While cooking one day, he had a seizure brought on by alcohol withdrawal, spilled boiling oil on himself, and suffered third-degree burns. The burns got infected, and if it hadn't been for his neighbors noticing a package sitting on his doorstep for days, he probably would have died alone. Over that weekend, he was rushed to the hospital, treated in the burn ward, and continued to suffer seizures from the withdrawal. When he finally came to, he stole a scalpel and tried to take his own life. After that, he started going to intense therapy in AA. He kicked the alcohol habit for good, this time under medical supervision, and even stopped taking his pain meds earlier than expected. That was a decade ago. Since then, he and his wife have reunited, and they just had a baby girl. The sad part is that he's hiding the fact that he's still on a combination of immunosuppressants and antidepressants, and that he still attends AA and therapy. He's buried under guilt and shame from everything he put his wife through, and he doesn't want to burden her with the truth. She believes he simply went to rehab and got better. Even though she's forgiven him, he hasn't forgiven himself. The shame still eats away at him. He treats his wife like a queen but treats himself like he's worthless because he believes that's what he deserves. The therapy helps, but he's still trapped in that mindset. I can understand both sides, why he should and shouldn't tell her. It's not my place to say anything, so I just listen when he needs to talk. The saddest part is that before his daughter was born, he confided in me that he'd often thought about ending his life quickly and painlessly. He believed that just existing was a burden to his wife, and that she deserved someone better, someone who could love her fully and treat her like the princess every little girl dreams of being. The only thing that stopped him was knowing she couldn't survive financially without him. His plan had been to save enough money so she could live comfortably, divorce her, take all her debt, and then end his life. Thankfully, once his daughter was born, he promised he'd never do that to them, and I truly believe him. He's a good man who's made terrible mistakes, but he's changed. He loves his wife and daughter deeply, even if he can't love himself. He treats everyone else like royalty, but himself like a pauper. He lives in constant, self-inflicted misery, convinced it's the punishment he deserves. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, activate the notification bell, and share a similar story or anything you'd like to say in the comments. See you next time.